and I've been asked to pinch hit. I have basically no preparation, so I'm probably going to have to read most of this. You guys will just have to put up with it. Anyway, in 2007, the Leadership Institute trained 7,349 students, which is a new record, in 450 of our 39 types of schools. Since 1979, the Leadership Institute has trained more than 61,000 people, most of them students. You have before you our 2008 school schedule. Please take a moment to review our upcoming schools and consider attending one of them or sending a friend to one of our programs. Please keep in mind that our schedule grows and changes throughout the year, and we will host many more programs than you see before you now. Right now, I'd like to introduce Ryan. I don't know the spelling. I don't know if I get it right. Ryan Wass? Rass? Rass. Okay. The W is silent. All right. For the invocation and Pledge of Allegiance, Ryan grew up in northern Wisconsin and attended school at the University of Wisconsin at Stevens Point. Ryan was the youngest county GOP chairman in the history of the state of Wisconsin. Ryan worked closely with the Leadership Institute to coordinate the very successful Wisconsin Youth Leadership School. Ryan is currently attending the campus leadership training here at the Leadership Institute. Ryan will be graduating in May with a degree in political science, public administration, and policy analysis, and is planning on moving to the Washington, D.C. area. Ryan?
Well, if you'd all rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And if everyone would please bow their heads, let's pray. Heavenly Father, we begin by asking for your blessing upon this meal and the hands that have prepared it. We ask that you remain with the young and old, the poor, the sick, and the homeless on our streets. We pray that you continue to be with our men and women in uniform as they continue to battle the evil that has besieged this earth and bring forth peace in your name. We ask that you guide our nation's leaders and that the power of your Holy Spirit maintain the glorious foundations of liberty, freedom, and righteousness of this nation. To you we pray all honor and glory, world without end. Amen.
Thank you, Ryan. Next, I'd like to introduce Steve Bierfeld. Steve is the current director of the Institute's Campus Leadership Program. In that role, he is now responsible for managing and overseeing the 1,015 active conservative groups on college campuses across the country. Steve is a 2006 graduate of Sacred Heart, where he earned his degree in political science. Steve?
Thank you, Mr. Bishop. You guys will notice that we have a very large crowd today. We have about 45 students from our CLP groups. These are the best and the brightest of our CLP group leaders, leaders of pro-life groups, conservative groups, gun groups, anti-tax groups, things like that. And they are invited here for about 3 or 4 days of training on recruitment, fundraising, group development, public speaking, television workshops, everything you can possibly imagine. We brought them in. These are more conferences that we want to do. We want to start getting the younger generation of conservative leaders trained to be the older generation of conservative leaders. Some of the things that LI is doing through the field program and the campus leadership program, we are right now actually beginning our recruitment for fall 2008 field program. Last year we had over 1,200 inquiries into the program, and we hired 70 people, and we expect it to be even more competitive this year. Mr. Bishop mentioned that we have 1,015 active independent conservative groups. We expect that number to grow by leaps and bounds. We expect the number of campuses that we're on as well to increase. Right now we're on 491 different campuses throughout the country, and we expect that to go up significantly. In that list of 1,015 active groups, we also have 212 independent conservative newspapers, so you can see where we're going. So good things are happening with the Leadership Institute. We have 45 bright young, wide-eyed, it's a little early, conservative leaders here from campus groups all throughout the country, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Right now, I'd like to introduce Kristen Cochran. Kristen is in the Planned Giving department as a Planned Giving officer. She's working under Marcy LeBlanc, and I think Marcy's not here this morning. I think one of her relatives passed away. Anyway, prior to assuming this position in November of 2007, she served as a campaign manager for Supervisor Eugene Delgaudio's third-term re-election campaign. Kristen graduated from the University of South Florida in Tampa in 2006 with a BA in political science. Kristen?
Good morning, everyone. What do you say about a man who has been politically active for 42 years and has so many stories to tell? The tales chronicling Supervisor Delgaudio's illustrious career are utterly unbelievable, yet they are told by a man with the utmost honesty and integrity. As president of an activist organization called Public Advocate, Eugene has organized many awareness-raising stunts, such as the Ted Kennedy swimming team, burning Judge Scalia's robes, and last but not least, the man-donkey wedding, just to name a few. Despite the fact that his life has been threatened on numerous occasions, the most famous of which involved a near hit-and-run incident, Eugene has remained a true beacon for the conservative movement. Though he received constant attention from the Washington Post, he recently won re-election to his third term for supervisor of the Sterling District of Loudoun County. His victory was due in large part to his steadfastness to his conservative beliefs and good staff, and his genuine desire to be a true representative of the people of Sterling. Eugene is the most dedicated and gracious candidate I have ever had the pleasure of working for, so it is my distinct honor to introduce to all of you Supervisor Eugene Delgaudio.
Well, this is a big crowd, and you know there's a slant here, so where do I put my coffee? I don't know, over here. All right, so if I take a breather for the coffee, I'll just look at it every now and then, you know, longingly. And while you're laughing or applauding, I'll take a drink of the coffee, actually. Thank you. Mr. Vice President Bishop, that's two names in the same, Vice President Bishop. You know, it's kind of like a religious end. It's the marriage of the church and the state. Let's hear it from Mr. Bishop, please. My dream come true for, what is the word for royalty? I don't know, it was monarchism. Yes, monarchism. Let's hear it for monarchism, yes. Well, you know, for those of us who know what monarchism is, it's king, you know. And I am the king of earned street media. That is, there's nothing I won't do for a laugh or for media coverage. At least that's what they will tell you. The Washington Post warns everyone that will listen, please don't pay any attention to Eugene Delgaudio, please. So I have to wear a mask. I have to put a bag on my head if I'm going to get any news coverage. You know what I'm saying? If they see me coming, they'll turn the cameras off. They will turn them off. They will alert everyone, please don't, you know, you've all seen how, anybody not see The Wizard of Oz, please raise your hand in the back. If you've not seen The Wizard of Oz, the guy behind the curtain, right? Don't look behind the curtain. Imagine the Washington Post telling the mass media, don't look behind the curtain. You know what I'm saying? So what does the mass media do when the Washington Post tells them, don't look behind the curtain? Everybody, they look behind the curtain. Thank you. So I'm the manipulator, or did I trick the Washington Post into telling everybody not to cover me? Now we're talking my language. Wake up. Is there more coffee back there? This is a tough crowd. This is a tough crowd. But I have a gift. I have a gift. Yes, thank you. Those of you who are new here to Washington, you have to have a gift for the president of the organization. And Mr. Bishop, I softened him up already. I complimented him. I have a gift for you. It's not money, but it's more than money, you know? I'm going to randomly pick somebody out of the crowd to guess what's in here, all right? What is the Bible of the Leadership Institute, beginning with the number 4 and ending with the number 5? Can anybody in the room raise their hand what 45 represents? Can anybody? Anybody at all? Oh, I see someone in the back, because this is being recorded. I have to say that. I see somebody in the back. 45 laws of the, right there, public policy process. That's right. This is the 45 laws. Yes, I printed it off the website. I know. Thank you. But what this is very special, this is the 45 exceptions. You'll notice how I jumped into my seminar style speaking as soon as I got to the microphone. I hope that's okay with you guys. Anybody under 18 here? I just got to know. Because you all look pretty young. Is anybody under 18? I just want to check. In the back? Under 18? No. Okay, good. Because, you look pretty young to an old man. Because Kristen, I have to say this about Kristen. I have to say she's, I had to ask her, you're over 18. Because, at my age, you can't tell. The eyesight's not so good. But, Mr. Blackwell, did you want to interrupt me for a minute? Because they're really stunned. They don't know whether they can laugh or not yet.
Surely. Well, everybody can laugh, and the laugh is on me. I forgot this morning. I have two relatively insufficient excuses. Number one, my wife, who accompanies me to these breakfasts, is in the middle of a 2-day trip to Richmond. That hurt. And the other one is that our water heater has sprung a big leak, and I'm dealing with the water in the basement, and I just forgot. So I'm sorry.
Certainly, Mr. President. By the way, for those of you who think that this is all very funny, I appreciate you're holding your laughter right now. But now that he's here, you have permission to laugh from Mr. Blackwell. Just because without him being here, I know some of you can't do anything without getting, his permission. And by the way, I know that very seriously, because without him, I wouldn't have a wife. Yes, that's right. My wife came to Washington to intern for Morton Blackwell. That's correct. Morton interned my wife. And so when he was at the White House, that's correct. And my wife was a White House intern. So I married a White House intern. Let's hear it. Come on. You get. Okay. Yeah, and Morton came in time. You'll notice that how Morton, even though he forgot, he knew that there was a gift. And I was just explaining this to them, Morton, that this is a priceless gift. I was building it up, And I talked about the 45 laws of the public policy process and how important they are, that everybody knows them backwards and forwards. Rule number 44. Righteous indignation is one of the most powerful forces known to mankind. Number 44. Okay, thank you. And, you got to know 45. So, Morton, I give you the exceptions to the 45 laws. Never before, Morton has never seen this. This is unrehearsed. Look at that man's reaction. The exceptions to the 45 laws never been revealed until this morning right here at the Leadership Institute. He still doesn't know them yet. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now,
Am I supposed to read and comment on this now?
no, I'm gonna tell you a few of them, because you're my foil, because the rest of them are too new. They might collapse. If I used any of them as a foil, they might collapse right in front of us, and it would be embarrassing. And we'd have to notify the next of kin. We'd have to tell their relatives, I died at the Leadership Institute. We don't know how he died, Thank you. Finally, he's beginning to understand. There's a method to this. There are punchlines, and then you get to laugh. Thank you. Very good. This is a tough audience, Morton. Couldn't you warm them up a little bit? Couldn't you told them a little bit? I mean, I'm a third-term elected official from the largest county on the planet. How do you think I got there?
Look, they're just recovering from their fear that something had happened to them.
Good cover. He said that they were just filled with remorse that Morton might not make it this morning and that he might be something terrible happen. Is this for me later? Okay. Thank you. A gift. There's also some really good stuff back here. Have you guys ever been back here before? This is really unbelievable what you should see back here. Anyway, rule number 1. He's reading this, by the way. Just so Morton doesn't think I'm breaking him in on this, I broke in my lawyers on this first. William Olson, my lawyers, and Steve Whitener, who was an alumnus. And I've let this sit for I don't know, since 2003 or 2004. I've not broken this out of the envelope. I've let it age, so there's some mold on your copy. Thank you. Good reaction, good reaction. The first rule, never give, I'm not going to read all 45, I'm just going to read a couple. I have them in bold in your copy, Morton, but mine aren't marked in red. Never give a bureaucrat a chance to say no, unless he's cutting his own budget. Well, please let him do it, man. Don't tell him, you know. Number 3, don't get mad except on purpose. Everybody know about that? Is anybody in here never get mad in the back? You never get mad? Raise your hand if you've never gotten mad, please. Anybody? Who gets mad occasionally? Very good, very good. You're dangerous. Who gets mad all the time? I'd like to meet you and hire you. Can I hire you? I'd like to offer you all a job. Because if you get mad all the time, that's why you're in Washington. Damn it. Excuse me. You're not here to take on the liberal monolith with tea. Well, those of you who are drinking tea, I'm not singling you out in particular, okay? But we're here to get mad. Now, number 3, don't get mad except on purpose. Now, if you get mad all the time, you know, that's the exception. We'll point you in the direction of Barney Frank's house. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Get mad in that direction over there, not here. You know, so that's why I'll hire you, because I know how to point them in a direction, you know. Like, over there is Capitol Hill, and over here is where Barney Frank. I know where they live, you know. You know how you have Hollywood, and you've got the places where the stars live? I've got a list of where the Democrats are. Isn't that great? Isn't that great? All the liberals. And yes, there are some liberal Republicans I put on that list, too. I'm equal there. I give the liberal Republicans just as much hell, which we'll get into in a minute. Number 9, political technology determines political success, unless you have some really primitive stuff that works real well. You know, you guys from West Virginia, I met somebody from Maine. This is your rule right here. You got some low-tech stuff, really primitive stuff that works, and it makes a big mess and it slows them down. I need you. I need you. We need you all. The high-tech stuff, you know, sure, you got your, you know, you got, but look, a little bit, I spill my coffee on it, it's dead, it's gone. That's when the low-tech stuff kicks in. You know what I'm saying? I'm skipping over to number 14. Remember, the other side has troubles too. Well, so far, nobody's left the room, okay? No, remember, the other side has troubles too. Have you noticed I'm a little trouble? Anybody not noticed that? I'm a little trouble. Well, here's the exception to that rule. If there's more troublemakers in your campaign or in your organization, this rule doesn't apply. That means, yeah, we got trouble, but we got more trouble than the other side. So that's the exception to that. So if you got to get rid of some of your troublemakers. That's why I'm not working at the Leadership Institute, because I make too much trouble. Thank you. Good. We got some more laughs. We got some more. We're doing okay here. We got laughs every now and then. We're doing all right. All right. Hey, look, I got to win something here. Hey, I didn't say everything's funny, right? But this side of the room is a lot tougher than this side. So I'm going to be looking more at you guys, and more, you know, I'm going to be picking a few of you out if you're not laughing yet. Anybody from the South here? Could you raise your hand? Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Anybody from the Northeast? Okay, this humor is more Northeast oriented, but I married somebody from Wisconsin. Does that help? Does that help? Anybody from Wisconsin? I know there's at least one person in Wisconsin. Very good. Cheese. Very good. I have 6 kids, in case you wanted to know what happened with the White House intern. Her name is Sheila, 25 years, 6 kids. I'm resting. I'm holding right now. Now that I've got into my 3rd term, you know, I'm going to write the Pope, going to make sure I get it cleared with him. And he encouraged us, as, you know, as Catholics, to have more. And I'm faithful to the Pope. Just wanted you to know. That's how I met my wife. I said, "Long live the Pope," in a room full of people who didn't know who the Pope was. But that was okay. Okay, number 15. Don't treat good guys like you treat bad guys. Unless they're really stupid. I mean, if you've got some really stupid good guys, anybody know anyone that I'm talking about? Stupid good guys? You know, if they're that bad, why are they in your campaign? Well, they're good guys. Well, but they're stupid. Will you get them in the other room or something? So there are exceptions. Thank you. You can't save the world if you can't pay the rent. Number 18. Now, I'm not mocking these rules, okay? I'm telling you these are very important rules, and you got to pay attention to them. But there are exceptions. You can't save the world if you can't pay the rent. Well, suppose you're living out of your car, okay? You don't have any rent. You just have a car. Now what? And you go to the soup kitchen. Anybody know that doesn't know? And you somebody got to know some activists that live out of their car. Come on, raise your hand. Nobody knows anybody that lives out of their car? I'm embarrassed to be at the Leadership Institute. I'm embarrassed. All right, Morton, they just won't admit it. They won't admit it because they know that if they raise their hand, I'll say, who is it? Thank you. Anyway, I'm driving a 1999 Buick Century. Please, please, if you see curtains up, do not disturb me. I'm sleeping. Okay, number 21, and thank you. This is good. Morton, this is good. These guys are picking it up. These guys over here, you're going to need some work. You're going to need some work. I got to figure out who's from North Dakota? Anybody? I knew that was a problem. I knew it was a problem. Pick it up. West. Who's up from the West? Am I getting a trend here? Oh, I'm getting a trend. The West is over here. I'm going to have to really crack this one. Okay, an ounce, I'm jumping to 21. An ounce of loyalty is worth a pound of cleverness. An ounce of loyalty is worth a pound of cleverness. Now, I'm big on loyalty, no problem. But if you need to hire a really clever person to outthink your enemy, then you're going to have to forget about the loyalty stuff. You know, you're going to hire somebody, an assassin, you know. If you need to hire an assassin, I'm watching over here. You know, there's a tough crowd over here. I don't think they're getting this anyway. Why don't I get out of the 45 laws of the public policy process? And, this is my personal favorite, 44. Going to go to 44 because I got a guaranteed laugh over here. Moral outrage is the most powerful motivating force in politics. You know, if you came here to listen to an elected official tell you how important he was, forget it. I'm not one of those elected officials. They'll be the next one, next month, right? Or tomorrow. I don't know. Maybe they'll be here this afternoon. I don't know. There's only 450 of them down the street, right? You're not going to find any self-important elected officials in this town, huh? Okay, moral outrage, number 44. You know, because I talked to her earlier, this woman over here. I went up to her and I said, number 44, okay? This is for this side of the room, not for this side, because you already know about 44. You know, I'm sorry I don't pay attention to everybody equally, but this room is so big that it's in two directions, you know? That wasn't my idea. They're trying to save money, you know what I'm saying? So I never could figure out which side I should be playing to, Morton, but I know you're here and I know you're laughing, so I'm good. Number 44, moral outrage is the most powerful motivating force in politics. Unless you are scary and frightening, okay? If you're scary and frightening and only upset everybody, you know, like if I'm scaring you, you could, if you're scared, could you please raise your hand now? Okay, in the back they're scared. Okay, listen. If you're scary, or if I'm scary to you, then I'm upsetting you. You follow me? And you're mad. You know, you're nervous, right? You're not sure, right? And if that means that I'm using it against you or against the environment, then it's the wrong thing. In other words, don't use this power that you have, right? Except for good. Like if you know how to use moral outrage, again, like point him in the right direction. The guy that gets mad all the time. You notice how my favorite stuff is a lot of screaming? Oh, boy. You know, and I've got that related to my next presentation, you know, because really it's how conservatives can win. And if you haven't figured out that I'm in love with the 45 laws of the public policy process and their exceptions. Now, is there anyone here that still doesn't get how important the 45 laws of the public policy process are? Could you raise your hand if you don't think the 45 laws apply to you? Just checking. Because I'd hire that person too, because obviously he's a contrarian, and then I could figure out what other laws there are. Because really the 45 laws are all about knowing where your limitations are and what you can't do and what you can do. And the exceptions, which I've empowered you with, and I've given Mr. Blackwell the actual copy of them, and I'll send you an electronic copy, Mr. Blackwell, for your archives. And, you know, these are ideas. My exceptions are ideas. They're your ideas. You are going to live that life. You are here to live that life. You're going to teach me those exceptions. You're going to tell me what new laws there are, because they're not just 45 laws. At one time, there used to be just 10. Can anybody here not count to 10? Just checking. The arithmetic level in the United States has been lowered, and I just want to make sure we got people here because of 45 laws. So there might be 90 laws of the public policy process. We just haven't discovered them all yet. As I've just given 45 exceptions, doesn't mean I know all the exceptions. There might be others. So I am one of the most funny elected officials, right? So I could tell that I've got some way to go, all right? I understand that. I'm still young. I'm 53 as of Monday. Thank you, Morton, for letting me get this far, because Morton decides everything in the world. You better get used to this. Whether I'm here or not, gone, 53, I got to say thank you, Morton, for all these years of life that you've given me in the political limelight. Today is a political limelight, you know, and then tomorrow, out of here, man. Yeah, that's the kind of power Morton Blackwell has, to motivate, to train. But he's making me work hard today. You know how he got me to work hard? Simple words, one word. One of the most funny elected officials. He got me to work. He said I was one. Hell, I thought I was the funniest. Yeah, damn right. You don't see me on MTV. You know why? I'm not a liberal. What do you expect me to be on Comedy Central? They steal my stuff. You kidding? Damn. Think I'm angry? You haven't seen angry yet. You don't know what angry is when Comedy Central steals a dozen of your ideas. Angry? I'm coming after you, darn comedians. Writing strike? Let them starve. They hit a dry spell? Drop dead. I ain't going to lend a damn finger. You know, let them die. How much time do I have, by the way? Kind of like when Senator, because he got me to work. He gave me a title. He said, one of the most funny, right? I got to work harder now. Kind of like when Senator Santorum of Pennsylvania replaced me as the most bigoted elected official in America as a result of being critical of the gay lobby. I'm kneeling at church. I say, hey, Senator Santorum, how's it going? He goes, you know, I'm the most bigoted elected official in America, according to the gay lobby. I go, thanks, congratulations. That's a little weight off of my shoulders. Then the guy gets defeated. Now what? I'm back in the saddle again. The most bigoted elected official in America. Thank you, Senator Santorum. Couldn't anybody from Pennsylvania here, please? Raise your hand. I'm going to embarrass you. Anybody? You're so embarrassed to raise your hand. Damn right. Let that guy lose. Now I'm the most bigoted elected official in America. Thanks a lot, Pennsylvania. Now, one of the most funny, I know I got to work harder. I know I'm working harder. I'm working. I guess I'm just not that funny. I understand. That's the way the Leadership Institute gets me to do things. I understand. Well, it's not over for me yet. Was it over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor? No. Can I hear a little bit better than that? Was it over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor? I know, it's from John Belushi in the Animal House. I'm quoting Animal House. Now, of course, that's 30 years after most of you were born. I know that, whatever. I got to work harder. No problem. Ted Kennedy's swim team, you've heard about that. 100-degree weather, summer, rubber scuba outfits. No problem, right? Had to have physical stamina, and it had to be funny to do it. Every restaurant evacuated, Capitol Police fully deployed, a total parade of thousands, hundreds of news stories. I know. I've got to work harder. Surrounding Barney Frank's house when he had a homosexual ring of prostitution. Yep. Got to work harder. Drove him out of his house into another neighborhood. Got to work harder. Standing intransigent in front of a speeding van bearing down on me in front of the Shrine of the Immaculate Conception in Washington on Easter Sunday, refusing to move because I'm not going to move for some van that's running down the sidewalk. I have a right to be on that sidewalk, don't we? Right? Free speech. It was not until David Shepard and David Henderson pulled me out of the path of the van that I realized, I might have been killed. They went and got the attacker, and this caused somebody I know, pretty close, to laugh pretty hard, because they went and got the guy that was trying to kill me and others. They got him, and they said, hey, listen, why were you trying to kill Delgaudio? Oh, I thought he was the homosexuals. And what appeared in the Washington Post above the fold at the time was, oh, well, in that case, let him go. I'm looking over here, okay? This is a really tough group over here. This group is really good. Morton, everybody here gets a pay raise, okay? Now, I got to work harder. You heard about me burning Judge Scalia's robes. He was the 5th vote to allow flag burning in America. So, you know, I said, hey, if he can allow flag burning, then I can allow robe burning. So I went and burned all his clothes. Pretty good, huh? Thank you, thank you. You're allowed to laugh. I already told them this. I just don't get it. It's true stuff. Oh, how about in 100-degree heat having a dozen people put winter coats on in the summer, and we were protecting against the Clinton blizzard of lies, and we called ourselves the Clinton Snow Job Removal Squad. And thank you. And we got people to put on blankets. I'm freezing, I'm freezing. We had conversions. We had people mind control. You're freezing, you're freezing. It's 100-degree heat and you're freezing. And we would give them blankets and they would put them on. Thank you. Wool blankets, thank you. How about sending intentionally bogus fundraising letters to known liberals, which made the liberals scream bloody murder? He was in on it. And then they filed criminal complaints against me, and I wasn't indicted because the law that it reflected, the obscure law, had expired just days before the letter went out. Isn't that funny? Isn't that funny? Come on, you gotta laugh about that. That's funny. How about telling MS-13, a violent gang that's hanging out in your neighborhood, they're not welcome, and folding your arms with a copy of the Washington Post as your only weapon? And they're leaving, and you think it's you when it's really, in fact, there's a battalion of police stakeout watching them. See, that's funny, because I could have been killed. Yeah, but I didn't know about the stakeout. They have it on camera. They think it's one of the funniest things I've ever done. They didn't see the Ted Kennedy swim team. So I'm not going to repeat that joke because you had to get it the first time. How about getting a group of men to wear raincoats, Clinton masks, and tights in sub-zero weather, pretending to be the flashes for Clinton, and cheering Mr. Bennett when he comes out of the Supreme Court. Oh, Mr. Bennett, oh, Mr. Bennett, the attorney for Clinton. And he comes over, and these guys are flashing him, waiting for a government brief. How about that? I know. I've got to work on it. I'm just trying. I'm really working on it. I have so much far to go. I've got to work. How about inviting Santa Claus to help protest the elimination of Christmas lights in Loudoun County, getting international news? That's pretty good. Santa Claus, it's one of my best. How about going to the American Civil Liberties Union to sing Christmas carols? Ha ha ha! Ha ha ha! All right. I mean, we're talking about I could have been sued. How about getting sued by the now, thank rest her soul, Madalyn Murray O'Hair, the woman who took prayer out of the schools? She sued me for, $15 million. How about that? How about calling her the angel of Satan? Pretty good, huh? Angel of Satan. How about this? Getting the case dismissed because she doesn't believe in angels and she doesn't believe in Satan. All right. That's pretty good. That's one of my better ones. How about putting together a video of people conducting a Kennedy sobriety checkpoint? Asking if your name is Kennedy, get out of the car. Thank you. We have a video posted at Public Advocate USA for that, or putting Moses and the Ten Commandments under arrest, along with a Teletubby, cutest Teletubby that you could ever see. Well, 2,000 visits on YouTube. Back in 2003, when a campaign email sent out from my campaign referred to my openly homosexual opponent as her, the Washington Post quoted me as saying, "It was a typo." A male homosexual? Her? Pretty funny, huh? Not funny enough. I'm going to have to work on that, I know. How about this year? This year, getting reelected in spite of being called a narrow-minded, racist, bigoted, gay-hating, fundraising, right-wing, anti-tax, anti-immigrant freak by the Washington Post. Funny? Huh? Did you laugh? Now listen, it's not like I'm conducting foreign policy or anything in Sterling. I am. Because that's how I got reelected. I decided I wasn't going to wait on the Congress. I decided that Sterling was going to conduct foreign policy. That's right. And you know, there are people who are in pain this morning, and there's a way out of your pain. Just think of me in a 4th term. That's right. If I can cause so much trouble to the other side in my 1st term, my 2nd term, and my 3rd term, there are men and women who are in hospital beds right now. And I have been given this testimony through prayer. They think of me in public office, and all pain leaves them. All pain. Just remember that. Yes, remember, I manipulate the media, and I also manipulate pain. I have so many stories. I want you to learn the laws. You can download them from the website at the Leadership Institute. It's on there. Morton wrote them and had the help of a lot of people. And you have to get ready to work. I mean, let's face it. If you're lazy, SOB, get out of here. Don't leave town. Don't look back. If you're lazy, don't associate with the Leadership Institute and people who come here and work here. If you're lazy, go away. Can't handle it. Of course, if you're very brilliant and lazy, just give us a little bit of your help every now and then if you're brilliant. So there's exceptions to those things, right? Thank you. Or if you have a lot of money and you're lazy, just write a lot of checks. I'll help you write the checks for you, okay? Thank you. If I listen to the liberals, you see, I really like this side over here, Morton. This is really, what's going on over here? This, I don't know, is it like something over here, you know? Put more coffee on their pot, please. If I listened to the liberals, I would never have been reelected 3 times. 3 times. Not 1, 2, 3 times. If I lost my sense of humor for 1 minute, I would have lost the election. I was willing to do soup kitchens, help the homeless, wash toilets, you know, clean the curb. When middle school children or high school students got on the honor roll, I wrote them and thanked them. Stupid, silly me. 1,000 letters at a time, signing little notes to middle school kids and high school teenagers. Yep. 4 times a year. There was a quarter, and every quarter they would get something from me, a letter. They would get a card to get ice cream or a hamburger or a Chick-fil-A thing or an unlimited bus pass. I kept track of every house with an American flag in my district. And I thank them to have that American flag up there on Veterans Day. I thank thousands of households with Christmas lights. I was silly. I was goofy. I looked at the decorations for Christmas. I made note of the nativity scenes. I made note of all of them. 3,257. And I thank them every year of 8 years I've been in public office for bringing peace and goodwill to Sterling District. And by the way, it grew from 2,000 up to grew every year because I encouraged it. I took conservative stands, right-wing stands at every single public meeting and voted no, no, no 1,000 times. I never voted for stem cell research, taxpayer-funded horse parks, pay raises for county officials, bloated budgets, tax increases, out-of-county trips, nonstop airfare to Red China. I moved to bar county advertising in the Washington Post and got 5 votes to stop it. Thank you. I produced a frequent email newsletter. I was told, by the way, to tell you how I stay in public office. Right? Am I okay? I produced a frequent email newsletter and alerted subscribers to political and community events or emergencies. I worked nonstop, door to door, and kept in touch with voters, very, very retail, and kept track of all my supporters. Average house visits, 4 times to the same house in 1 year. I made sure I got the mom, I made sure I got the dad, I made sure I got the son, I made sure I got the college student that was away, and I came back to let them know that I needed them on Election Day. I never retreated on any conservative position, but staked out new positions frequently and consulted my key people and kept up with them, my leaders, my consultants, my advisors, senior people that I respect, of which there are many. Basically, every fringe element group I was in touch with. Every one of them became my position. Every single one of them, no exceptions. The coalition is alive in my candidacy. The coalition lives. I am the coalition. I frequently told the press, sometimes daily, what was being said or planned in the government building. I ratted on everybody. And sometimes I told them when I was planning surprises, this is a surprise. They don't know about this. I didn't tell anyone other than the media. They became my allies. I hired only Christian conservatives, like Kristen here, who were uncompromising purists and embraced or appointed all pro-family and pro-life candidates, other candidates like me in every election. I frequently called smarter people, besides Morton being senior, he's smarter, and passed my plans with them, even if it meant indictment, possibly. You know, I'm kidding. That was a joke. It just happened that way. And Morton didn't know about this law either. Neither did I. I raised money year after year and budgeted more than any candidate because I knew exactly where the money would be going. It would be going to the campaign and to postage and things like that. And I overcame complacency about my incumbency and having money by being attacked. By taking all these positions, I kept getting attacked, and so my supporters were mobilized in a fight that they were joined together in that coalition. I used the money for, I used no money, not $1, for radio, television, or newspapers. Not a penny went to any of that. It was all grassroots, direct mail, direct response mail, or hand-delivered brochures or flyers or signs put in people's yards. Last page. I did not allow what the Washington Post and the rest of the Delgaudio-hating media said to deter me, ever. I got depressed and I cried at home, but that was it. Thank you. I stayed on message in all my interviews and held frequent parties for my large staff, which I paid handsomely and which the liberals hated. I lived the values I promoted day and night and proudly introduced my wife of 25 years at every event, Sheila. I worked each day going door to door no matter what the weather was, and I worked until 8 o'clock at night, and I will stop. And I don't know if I have time for questions.
Obviously, it would be a crying shame if we didn't allow him to respond to some questions. And therefore, if there are questions, fire away. Eugene, you're capable of picking the questions.
Oh, that one looks easy over there. All right, go ahead.
As the father-in-law of Dave Henderson, who you credited with saving your life one time, I think I may have also heard your first public address to a mass of conservatives. Many years ago, at the end of a Richmond Republican convention, they offered the open microphone to anybody who had anything to say. You hopped up off the floor, took the microphone, and couldn't think of anything to say. You have come a long way since then.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I am still intimidated by this crowd. Thank you very much. And thank you for your donations to my reelection, by the way. I know this is a nonpartisan venue, but the contribution was saving my life. I mean, he kept David Henderson around, and, David Henderson is a pro-life activist, and I know you've, very fortunate we all know David Henderson because he was in that position where he could sit there and let me be an idiot, which I am, and, thank you, and I'm in front of the van, and he's like 3 feet away. He's safe, but Henderson risked his life, and pulled me out of the path knowing how stupid I am, or just being Christian, just taking, advantage of an opportunity to do a good deed. Had Dave Henderson not done that, had a sense of humor, going, Delgaudio is going to kill himself right in front of me. Oh, that'll be funny. So thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I did. What happened was with public life, they limit you to 3 minutes. The board of supervisors, and so in 3 minutes, I got to uncover, my debate, and they, Morton said that the board of supervisors could overcome their deficit if they charged admission, because I'm pretty funny in that 3 minutes. And there's a lot of YouTube going around of me doing funny stuff at the Board of Supervisors, but they only clip the stuff, because the liberals have unlimited funds, so they just clip the stuff that they like about. But I got good jokes about liberals. Over here? Yes, sir. Man with the hat. I have an orange hat here just for you. This is because you're wearing a special hat. I have to say that since I'm a hat man, that's my symbol, the orange hat.
Well, I've got a question regarding your membership on the Potomac Watershed Roundtable. in that, on that roundtable, did anyone ever do a study to show the upper limit population that the Potomac watershed could hold?
Well, I sometimes got on some of these groups just so that they couldn't get a quorum. So I didn't attend the meetings, so that they couldn't conduct business. Thank you. Thank you very much. We know what we're doing. They're reacting back there. I think this is a late crowd. Over here's the early crowd. I didn't attend any of those meetings because they're a bunch of liberals and they're very annoying, and I kept my annoying stuff over to the Board of Supervisors. And as a rule, I never went outside the county unless it was really special like Arlington. There's a special board that meets here that I had to attend a couple of times just to maintain my membership. But don't worry, don't worry. They've stripped me of everything in my third term because I'm the minority leader of the Board of Supervisors now. I'm the only, you know, property rights oriented, openly right-wing, you know, pro-growth, you know, is what the Washington Post calls me, pro-growth Republican on the board. So they stripped me of everything. They left me on one committee, and then they assigned me to a committee on streamlining committees. So I said, listen, not for nothing, but I'm only on one of 45 positions, so you've already streamlined my stuff. This is pretty funny stuff. If you put me, I've got one position, and you guys got 44, so am I to believe that I'm an expert on streamlining now? And they said, yes. Yes, they like to make jokes, too. I'm sorry, I don't have the answer to that question. Over here. More. Okay, thank you very much.
Stay here. Eugene, thank you so much for coming. Again, I apologize for my tardiness getting here. I think that none of us will ever forget this performance this morning. He did actually produce a whole list, a whole copy of my 45 laws of the public policy process, and he only shared a few of them with you. And some of those he shared with you weren't among the best of them, I have to say. I marked a couple of them, which I saw, and I'll just give you the law and then his exception. Don't fire all your ammunition at once unless you are hitting 100% of your targets. You can't beat a plan with no plan unless you are omnipotent. Keep your eye on the main chance and don't stop to kick every barking dog unless you really like to kick every barking dog and your friends expect you to. In volunteer politics, a builder can build faster than a destroyer can destroy, unless the destroyer has a spy in your volunteer organization. Personnel is policy, unless you fire people routinely or pay them very little like most of the Republican Party. Don't fully trust anyone until he is stuck with a good cause which he saw was losing. Don't fully trust someone who always loses. Governing is campaigning by different means, unless you don't plan on getting reelected. You cannot make friends of your enemies by making enemies of your friends, unless your friends are abusing you more than your enemies. One big reason is better than many little reasons, unless you pick the wrong big reason. Promptly report your action to the one who requested it, unless it's a secret or a trap laid out for you by the liberals. Well, Eugene, I very much appreciate those of your remarks which were both directed at me and were kind. And I'm very glad that I did get here to hear at least most of your presentation. Appreciate what you're doing. You are a phenomenon. Eugene Delgaudio in the country is certainly unique. And if he isn't the most humorous politician in America, he's certainly one of the most humorous. And it's very clear to me that although he's very serious about supporting conservative principles, he enjoys it. And that is important for all of us who fight for conservative principles. As a memento of your appearance here, it's my pleasure, Eugene, to offer you on behalf of the Leadership Institute one of our Adam Smith ties. This is the new yellow model of the Adam Smith tie, and they are available for everybody else. Purchase upstairs from my assistants.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
very much.
Thanks for coming, Eugene.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'd like to invite everyone to join us here next month, Wednesday, February 6th. We're back again on the first Wednesday schedule. Our next featured speaker will be Ed Gillespie, who was counselor to the President of the United States, graduate of my training, former chairman of the Republican National Committee, and author of a book, Winning Right. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for coming.